I'm here for the main purpose of vigorously opposing Senate Joint Resolution 8 and to support the National Labor Relations Board's recent rule to modernize the process that workers use if they decide they want to form a union and bargain collectively. The new NLRB rule makes modest but highly important changes to improve the overall consistency and efficiency of the election process, allowing workers to vote for or against the creation of a union in a fair and timely way. This rule is long overdue, and I've seen in Connecticut and in my personal experience with the NLRB how important it is. As I go around Connecticut, I consistently hear of problems that come in workers seeking to gain representation to form a union. It's cumbersome, it's costly, it's time-consuming, it is prone to needless delays, it involves needless litigation, and it creates uncertainty for all involved. So this rule change, this new rule, is good for working men and women, but it is also good for businesses by reducing and, in some cases, eliminating the cost, time, uncertainty that are aggravating and expensive. It's a small step toward a level playing field and a guarantee that companies respect workers' rights to organize and gain the benefits of union membership. Here's what the rule does, very simply. It removes obstacles to forming unions and requires businesses to postpone litigation over member eligibility issues until after the workers join a union. It cuts down on lengthy litigation that could cause union formation to drag on for a year or more. It modernizes the election process. Very, very importantly, it allows for the electronic filing and transmission of petitions for union elections. Believe it or not, previously all of it had been done by fax or mail. Not exactly the latest or least expensive technology. And it assures unions and employees have enough information about each other so they can communicate in advance of the election. It streamlines the NLRB's procedures, and with all due respect to the NLRB, what's needed there is practices that are uniform throughout the regional offices so that organizers can better interact with the agency. Its effect is not only on unions and businesses, but also on the NLRB in speeding and streamlining and improving the way it works. Now, its effects are in other areas too, but the opponents of this measure forget to mention that these new rules apply equally to both elections seeking to certify a union and elections to decertify a union. These more efficient procedures will help both workers who want to choose a union and workers who want to get rid of an existing union. A level playing field, fairness, efficiency, less cost, less time. And the rule also still gives employers the opportunity to inform workers about the drawbacks of unions so that workers have a fair opportunity to decide if they want union representation. This is the epitome of fair and balanced and more efficient kinds of rules. The simple fact of the matter is, and we know it, folks across America know it, people in this body know it, the majority of American workers want representation. 53% of workers want a union in their workplace. But because of the broken election process, fewer than 7% of workers are represented. That's a stark fact, as Ronald Reagan said. Facts are stubborn things. 35% of the time that workers file a petition for a union election, they never even get to an election. The current election process is full of delay and costs. And in many cases, unfortunately, litigation gives way to outright discrimination. According to a 2011 University of California, Berkeley study, the longer the delay between the filing of the petition and the election date, the more likely it is that the NLRB will issue complaints charging employers with illegal activity. In other words, basically, the election process is drawn out and leads to growing dissatisfaction and contempt, and thereby damages everyone. This rule is a necessity and will have real impacts on real people. In Connecticut, I've spoken to people and heard the stories of individuals who've been deprived or inhibited in exercising their right to vote in the election process, and this process is broken. The new NLRB would prevent frivolous litigation from delaying an election, and I've spoken to workers who wanted the election to be held on a date that was beyond the allowed waiting period. They told me they were told if they didn't back down, the employer would, in quotes, make sure the process would be lengthy and difficult. The new rule will itself push back on intimidation. In the face of these kinds of tactics, some have persevered, but only through tremendous resolve, and they've triumphed in a seriously flawed and failed NLRB election process. In short, Mr. President, these rules are an important step in the right direction. They provide for free choice, fair and protected for both sides. They will reduce costs and time and litigation. And so I urge my colleagues to oppose this measure as ill-conceived and ill-considered, and I hope that we will preserve the NLRB's new rule. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.